A young man named Amatsuki Iori suddenly found himself in an unfamiliar world, disoriented and questioning his surroundings, as King Letitia immediately greeted him as an otherworldly hero and implored him to save their world from the Demon King. An advisor then asked for his name, as Amatsuki Iori realized this was his first reincarnation into another world. The narrative then fast-forwarded, revealing Amatsuki, now known as Hiro Amatsu, as a transformed individual whose appearance had changed due to rigorous training and the proof of the hero. He declared his unwavering resolve to defeat the Demon King and bring an end to the ongoing war. Hiro Amatsu was then shown alongside his companions, Demon Dionys Johannes, Magician Ryus Gilbane, and Knight Lucifina Emilier. Dionys commented on Amatsu's age, while Ryus playfully questioned his cool demeanor, to which Lucifina enthusiastically affirmed Amatsu's coolness, causing him to feel a touch of embarrassment. As the group prepared for what they believed might be their final battle, their individual motivations converged. Dionys expressed his desire for a shining world for his precious sister, Lucifina wished for a world where all races could coexist peacefully, and Ryus aimed to protect their people and the future of the demon race, all while Amatsu acknowledged his trust in his partners. A demonic figure declared his intent to stop Amatsuki and his party, vowing to take them all out, while Amatsuki, with a resolute smile, affirmed his goal of creating a world filled with smiles and mutual aid. The hero then recognized the horned demon as Elphasac Guildguard, and the two immediately clashed in a fierce death fight, which quickly concluded with Elphasac's defeat. Distraught and confused, she questioned what had happened to her, lamenting that she only wished to stop the war. As Amatsuki held a mysterious glowing crystal, he suddenly clutched his chest in pain, black energy emanating from him, much to Elphasac's horror. Amatsuki Iori found himself confronted with a disturbing vision, where he, the hero Amatsu, was depicted as having been killed in battle against the Demon King. While the three remaining party members triumphed, returning as heroes, prompting a sinister voice to question if this wasn't a good scenario. The vision continued, revealing a smiling figure, identified as Ryus, who confidently declared that if they could reach this point, Ryus could take control of the hero's magic and defeat the Demon King without Amatsuki, further assuring the distressed hero, who could only utter Lucifina's name, that he would take care of it. The vision of Elphasac Guildguard, whom Amatsuki had called out to, materialized before him, addressing him by name. Her expression shifting to a sinister smile as she declared his job done and instructed him to leave the rest to them. She then mockingly questioned his earnest belief in a world without conflict, highlighting his foreign origin as a source of his naivety. Amatsuki, horrified, desperately reached out, reiterating his solemn promise of a world without conflict, even as the illusory figures of Lucifina and Ryus began to glitch and distort around him, revealing the fragile nature of the vision. Finally, Ryus's true form emerged, laughing uproariously and proclaiming Amatsuki's dream a masterpiece while asserting that Amatsuki was the only one who ever took such a goal seriously, plunging the hero into profound despair as he covered his eyes. Amatsuki Iori, still trapped within the manipulative vision, screamed in anguish as the illusory Lucifina bid him farewell, telling him to dream all he wanted, while Ryus calmly gave his approval, his mind reeling from the mockery of his ideals. The despair was overwhelming, his perceived reality shattered. Suddenly, the vision shifted, and Amatsuki found himself naked and kneeling before a king who welcomed him as an otherworldly hero to the land of Letitia, immediately tasking him with saving the world from a demon lord. Still reeling from the physical assault, Amatsuki cried out in confusion, barely able to comprehend the minister's frantic shouts about a hero-sama. As the minister continued to accuse him of murder, demanding he be restrained by unseen forces. The minister then presented Amatsuki with a book, instructing him to read the record of the previous hero, Amatsu-sama, to comprehend his predicament. Leaving Amatsuki to internally question the bewildering situation, wondering what exactly was happening. As the ministers observed the newly summoned hero, Amatsuki Iori, they expressed concern over his apparent lack of magic power, with one remarking that he would quickly perish against the Demon King's army despite the supposed power of his engraving. Another minister then inquired about the previous hero, asking Lord Ryus, who had fought alongside him, about his character and deeds. Ryus, with a subtle internal thought dismissing the current hero's worth, prepared to recount the past. Ryus then began to paint a vivid picture of the previous hero, describing him as a man truly worthy of the title, brave and unwavering in his fight for peace until the very end, even expressing a wistful desire to have granted him everything he ever wanted.
The other ministers listened intently, visibly impressed by Ryus's romanticized account of the previous hero's unwavering bravery and dedication to peace.
Meanwhile, Amatsuki Iori, having overheard this glowing description, processed the information with a thoughtful expression, realizing that this was the story of the previous hero he was now expected to emulate. The king, seated on his throne, confronted Amatsuki Iori, demanding his name again while accusing him of betrayal and vowing retribution. To which Amatsuki Iori calmly replied with his full name, Iori Amatsuki, and declared that he had abandoned the hero title of Amatsu for this very reason.
Following this tense exchange, Amatsuki Iori departed, walking alone through the vast, silent halls of the castle.
Leaving the king to observe the sudden quiet that had fallen over the entire castle, his expression betraying a hint of concern. An older man, guarding what he called a magic workshop, confronted Amatsuki Iori, demanding his immediate departure and stating that unauthorized individuals were not permitted inside.
Amatsuki, in turn, questioned if he was still being referred to as a hero.
The older man warned that if Amatsuki refused to leave, he would be forced to take action, while Amatsuki internally resolved that he could not simply wait to receive the mark. The older man then mockingly addressed Amatsuki as kid, finding it amusing that Amatsuki still used the honorific hero. Amatsuki then directly challenged the older man, asking if he intended to kill him as well, just as he had supposedly killed Amatsu. The older man reacted with visible shock and alarm. As Amatsuki moved decisively, preparing to engage him, reiterating his accusation. As Amatsuki Iori delivered a cutting remark, observing that the older man still struggled to aim when upset, a habit they apparently never overcame. In a swift and decisive counterattack, Amatsuki Iori deftly dodged the older man's assault before delivering a powerful kick to his midsection, leaving him gasping in pain and shock. The older man stared in utter disbelief, muttering in denial, as Amatsuki Iori looked at him with a challenging gaze, questioning if he still failed to comprehend the situation.
Before unequivocally declaring their true identity, I'm Amatsu.
The older man, clutching his shoulder in pain and disbelief, stared wide-eyed at Amatsuki Iori, who smiled menacingly and asked if he had seen a ghost, highlighting his profound shock and terror. The older man vehemently questioned how Amatsuki Iori could truly be an Amatsu, insisting that he had killed them, only for Amatsuki Iori to dismiss his claims, revealing that the injury was merely a shallow defensive magic trick and challenging him to see how long he could maintain his resistance. Realizing the full extent of his deception, the older man desperately pleaded for his life, admitting he had been tricked, but Amatsuki Iori coldly retorted that such a plea was meaningless given he was on their kill list. Amatsuki Iori confirmed the older man's deception, as the older man, now shown alongside a demon-like figure and a female warrior, confessed that he had been promised the honor of killing the Demon King if he eliminated Amatsuki Iori. The older man, still recounting his past, revealed that he had been told he would gain the honor of killing a demon if he eliminated Amatsuki Iori, a claim confirmed by the smiling female warrior, Lucifina, who swore the offer was genuine. He further confessed that Lucifina and Dionys were actually spies for the Demon King's army and had betrayed him after he believed he had killed Iori. Lucifina, shown in the flashback, explained that she was allowed to live to report a hero's death to her country, which accounted for their absence in the damage report. Amatsuki Iori, now standing over the defeated older man with a sword, pressed him, asking if he was the only one who had taken advantage of this elaborate deception. The older man, looking distraught, admitted that he was not alone, revealing that several others agreed with him. He then cryptically explained that these conspirators had disguised themselves as wannabe magicians to prevent him from advancing to the next level, which was why there was no blind man, leaving Amatsuki Iori perplexed by the sudden mention.
Amatsuki Iori pressed the older man further, demanding to know the identities of the true orchestrators behind the elaborate plan.
To which the older man confessed that Lucifina and Dionys, along with the other demon spies, had joined the Demon King's army. He further revealed that the werewolves involved in the conspiracy had been cast out and were believed to be residing in a hot spring city within an allied country.
Iori absorbed this new intelligence, a thoughtful "oh"
escaping his lips as he processed the implications of the revelations. The older man, attempting to deflect responsibility, insisted that his actions were not his fault.
And with a sudden, unsettling grin, he declared himself a victim, proposing an alliance to eliminate their shared enemies.
Amatsuki Iori, however, abruptly silenced him, prompting the older man to react with shock and anger, demanding to know what Amatsuki was doing. As his face contorted in a furious expression, repeating his question to Amatsuki. Amatsuki Iori, with a fierce gaze, confronted the older man, demanding to know if he truly believed he could escape the consequences of his actions. Under duress, the older man began to reveal critical information, specifying that a disarming device was located within a particular drawer, which was necessary to break a seal related to the treasure room door and a ritual. Amatsuki pressed him to continue, indicating a desire to hear the full extent of his confession. Amidst the confrontation, Amatsuki's thoughts drifted to a past ideal, recalling a time when they had wished to end the war and foster a world where all species could coexist peacefully. A pained expression crossed Amatsuki's face as they questioned whether others had truly mocked such a profound aspiration. The older man, looking weary and resigned, confessed that he had always believed coexistence was impossible, even if they managed to defeat the Demon King. To which Amatsuki Iori responded with a terse, almost dismissive, "Oh, okay." Amatsuki then raised his sword, his face contorted in a mix of anger and profound disappointment, lamenting his past belief in all of you, while an unseen voice echoed the sentiment that coexistence with multiple species was inherently impossible, labeling someone a bastard. With a resolute and chilling expression, Amatsuki declared he was done asking questions, prompting the terrified older man to desperately interject, offering to show him something about Lucifina and the others that would be easier to demonstrate than to explain.
Amatsuki Iori, still holding his sword, agreed to examine the information the older man offered, instructing him to present it. Even as Iori internally wrestled with the thought of executing the man and later atoning for the act.
The older man, with a subtle smirk, requested to speak before revealing the promised details. Before suddenly transforming into a grotesque, grinning monster and launching a surprise attack on Amatsuki Iori, declaring that Iori had always been too soft, leaving Iori stunned. Amatsuki Iori, now wielding a sword, confronted his attacker, declaring that the older man was the one who had not changed. Before launching a swift counterattack that sent the monstrous older man reeling backward with a cry of pain. Standing triumphantly over the defeated older man, Iori revealed his true, sinister intentions, stating that he would not allow him to die so easily, as he first needed to acquire the hero's powers before making him regret his actions and then killing him. Leaving the older man to curse and rage from the ground, warning Iori not to get cocky despite his apparent victory. As the king and his retinue arrived, expressing their shock and confusion at the unfolding events and demanding answers from Ryus, Amatsuki Iori turned to acknowledge their presence. And with a broad, sinister smile, he thanked Ryus for his invaluable assistance. The consequences of Ryus's unwitting cooperation became immediately apparent as one of the king's men, a bearded subordinate, was violently pulled into an unseen force. While the king, still bewildered by the key equipment and Ryus's actions, watched as Iori confirmed that Ryus's involvement had enabled the activation of a powerful magic circle, which was now consuming the screaming subordinate. With a final, ominous gaze, Iori declared his intention to return for Ryus. The king, enraged, bellowed Amatsuki Iori's name, his fury evident as the magic circle's effects lingered around him. Transporting the target and others to a new, desolate location identified as the Labyrinth Abyssal, a deep, rocky cavern. There, Amatsuki Iori appeared, a confident smirk on his face, as he addressed Ryus, declaring that he had arrived at the opportune moment. Ryus, looking up at the cavern's ceiling, realized he had been sent down quite deep, contemplating the severe implications of his predicament. Amatsuki Iori confirmed their location within the Abyssal Labyrinth, a stronghold of the Demon King army that had been remade 30 years prior, noting that their transporter coordinates had placed them in its coldest region. He recalled that within the innermost part of the labyrinth lay a mass of magic power known as the Labyrinth Core, and that his only way to regain his full powers was to absorb a large dose of a magician's power to activate his mark, as his current proof of heroism was largely ineffective. Suddenly, the ground beneath Iori began to crack and collapse, indicating the labyrinth itself was out of balance due to the transfer, prompting him to question what had happened to the labyrinth core. He cursed the situation, realizing the instability was likely due to the core being missing or compromised. The cloaked figure, who had recently acquired the labyrinth core, executed a powerful whirlwind attack, targeting a magical circle on the ground. As he considered the efficacy of using magic via magic stones, noting that there seemed to be no issue, yet sensing a hidden bug within the system. Meanwhile, Amatsuki Iori found himself in a perilous situation, confronted by a massive earth dragon that lunged at him, causing him to exclaim in surprise. The earth dragon, frustrated by the situation, demanded that Amatsuki Iori act as a human cover, while the cloaked figure, now revealed to be nearby, cursed the dragon as a little shit, prompting Amatsuki Iori to react with shock at his presence. Amidst the ongoing conflict, a new figure emerged, a horned woman with long flowing hair, identified as Elphasak Gildegard, who appeared to be in a state of surprise or concern. The earth dragon, still enraged, confronted the newly arrived Elphasak Gildegard, demanding to know if she was the one who had stolen the labyrinth core, while Amatsuki Iori attempted to draw attention to himself by calling out. As the cloaked figure remained poised for action, observing the unfolding confrontation and the earth dragon's intense reaction. As the earth dragon raged, Elphasak Gildegard unleashed a powerful burst of light, momentarily stunning the massive creature, who roared in frustration as Elphasak, now in a more agile, humanoid form, declared the move a success. Elphasak then swiftly moved past Amatsuki Iori, urging him to come with me, as the earth dragon continued its furious roars. Enraged by the attempted escape, the earth dragon roared, "Don't escape, traitor," and attacked the ground, causing a collapse. Elphasak, having grabbed the surprised Amatsuki Iori, plunged downwards. Having successfully escaped the earth dragon, Elphasak carried Amatsuki Iori through the newly formed underground passage, commenting on Iori's surprising lightness and assuring them that their pursuer would not follow them this far. Iori, clearly uncomfortable with the situation, politely requested to be put down, and once released, expressed gratitude for Elphasak's assistance. As they continued, Elphasak had a sudden, profound realization, thinking to herself that she's alive. After being put down, Amatsuki Iori found himself facing Elphasak Gildegard, who thanked him for his assistance in her escape, remarking on his effective actions. Iori, however, seemed to be staring intently at Elphasak, prompting a thought of recognition. The demon playfully asked if he found her beautiful, boasting of her inherent popularity. Iori, taken aback, quickly dismissed her assumption with a blunt wrong. Annoyed, Iori then directly demanded to know her identity, causing Elphasak to react with offense at his perceived rudeness, thinking, well, that was rude. Elphasak then revealed herself to be a demon named Elphazert Gilgard, which led Iori to question why a demon like her was being attacked by an entity known as Iwayne Kansas. Elphasak explained her past, revealing that she was kicked out from the demon army and subsequently cornered, which is when the rude man she referred to, Iori, approached her. Iori, observing her, internally questioned her current strength, wondering if a former demon general should not have been able to defeat the rebel dragon that the demon army had mentioned. Elphasak then directly asked Iori what he was searching for within the labyrinth, specifically inquiring if he sought the labyrinth core, to which Iori confirmed he needed something but dismissed the core as his objective. Suddenly, a monstrous, multi-eyed spider-like creature with sharp fangs lunged forward, prompting a desperate cry of "Look out!" As the monster suddenly attacked, Elphasak reacted with a cry of shock and surprise. But Amatsuki Iori swiftly intervened, pushing her down while simultaneously activating item magic, Stone Shield, to block the creature's assault. After the immediate threat was repelled, Iori looked down, noticing an unexpected object on the ground and questioning its presence. As he identified a simple ball of yarn lying on the labyrinth floor. Elphasak inquired about Iori's intentions with the earth spider's silk ball, to which he responded that there was no harm in taking it. Elphasak then let out a thoughtful sound, before cheerfully asking if he wanted to take something else as well, which surprised Iori. Elphasak then offered him a crystal, explaining that she did not need it, and Iori accepted the gift with gratitude. Elphasak inquired about Iori's next course of action, to which he declared his immediate goal was to escape from their current location, a response Elphasak found convenient for her own purposes. She then proposed they work together, extending her hand to him, but Iori questioned the necessity of their cooperation, asking why she couldn't simply escape through the entrance below. Elphasak countered that someone might be waiting for them back there. She elaborated that escaping alone was impossible for her, as she would surely be caught on the way back up, revealing that their pursuer possessed the ability to travel freely throughout the ground. Therefore, Elphisak asserted that two people would have a significantly better chance of escaping than one attempting it alone. Elphisak reiterated that two individuals stood a better chance of escaping than one, to which Iori agreed, explaining that while he couldn't use strong attacks on the Earth Dragon, he could defeat it if she could buy him some time. Elphisak readily accepted his condition, but Iori, despite the alliance, expressed his inherent distrust of people he had just met so easily. Elphisak, with a reassuring smile, reminded him of her previous assistance and asserted that their respective races, human or demon, held no significance in their current predicament, prompting Iori to ponder her words. He recalled her past help but internally resolved to remain vigilant, concluding that if she were to betray him, he would not hesitate to sever their ties. Elphisak confidently declared that they could easily defeat the dragon, despite Iori's lingering doubts about their combined strength, to which he agreed to work together. Iori then admitted he couldn't truly give his best, a sentiment Elphisak brushed aside, urging him to simply try. She then playfully asked if he had fallen in love with her, which Iori quickly denied, creating a brief, awkward silence. As they continued their journey, they soon approached a grand, sealed door, which Elphisak immediately recognized as a potential way out. Confirming her suspicion, she expressed relief that they might finally be able to escape their current predicament. Amatsuki Iori confidently held up the labyrinth core, declaring that its presence was enough for him to act foolishly, which seemed to surprise the large monster before him. As the monster, now identified as Lisho Bargild, roared his name and expressed approval. Lisho then taunted Iori, telling him to remember his name and calling him a weakling, as Iori stood resolute in the barren environment. Lisho initiated a fierce assault, striking repeatedly at Iori, who managed to evade or deflect the blows. Iori questioned the monster's attacks, wondering about their effectiveness, while Lisho dismissed Iori's resistance as insignificant. However, Iori internally noted that Lisho's attacks were having no discernible effect on him. Amatsuki Iori remained unfazed by Lisho's continued assault, remarking that even the maximum power of magic stones had no effect on him, and questioning if Lisho had even entered the correct room, leaving the Earth Dragon confused. Lisho, in his Earth Dragon form, continued his aggressive attacks, attempting to crush Iori with his tail, a creature known for its thick, armored scales and immense physical power, but Iori deftly evaded the powerful blows, maintaining his impenetrable defense. Suddenly, the tables turned as the Earth Dragon, now seemingly acting independently or under a new influence, attacked to surprise Lisho, who had reverted to a robed human form, declaring that Lisho's puny attack was nothing to it. The Earth Dragon roared in frustration, exclaiming that Lisho had struck it twice, though his attacks remained ineffective. Lisho, undeterred, continued to target the dragon's tail, attempting to find a weakness. The Earth Dragon, noticing Lisho's persistent focus on its tail, taunted him to continue before slamming its massive tail down with immense force, intending to crush him. However, Lisho merely smirked, revealing that this was precisely what he had anticipated. As the tail struck the ground, it became ensnared in a sticky, web-like substance, which Lisho identified as Earth Spider Silk. Amatsuki Iori observed the ensnared Earth Dragon, noting that while an ordinary rock dragon would lose its balance if its tail were cut, this one merely growled in frustration. As Lisho Bargild, in his formidable demon general form, appeared utterly unfazed by the situation, prompting Iori to acknowledge the demon general's resilience. Suddenly, a new figure, Elphisa, appeared, commending Iori for his efforts, and confidently declared that she would take over the battle, much to the Earth Dragon's enraged dismay, as it recognized her name. The Earth Dragon, previously enraged, began to regenerate its rocky body with a powerful roar, causing Elphisa to exclaim in surprise. As Amatsuki Iori explained that the dragon possessed the ability to heal and recover, identifying it as Veritas Familiar. Though Amatsuki initially wondered if it was invincible, Elphisa quickly assessed that such a powerful regeneration likely consumed a vast amount of magic and could not be used twice. Amatsuki Iori then inquired about Elphisa's evil eye ability, asking how many times she could use it. To which she replied that she had one more shot, but it would require time to charge. With a confident smile, Elphisa declared she would leave the next move to him, and Amatsuki Iori returned her smile, confirming their shared understanding. Amatsuki Iori, executing his part of the plan, launched a sharp projectile, desperately calling upon a power that seemed to resist him. As a glowing, intricate symbol manifested on the back of his hand, indicating an attempt to channel significant magical energy. He realized with frustration that the magic power drawn from the labyrinth core was insufficient for his needs, yet he defiantly refused to yield, declaring his resolve. And unleashed a powerful attack known as Tusk Break, aiming to strike a decisive blow. Amatsuki Iori, frustrated by his limitations, declared that he would not be deterred, as there was something crucial he needed to accomplish. He resolved to force his power if it wasn't enough, his hand glowing with immense energy as he pushed past his limits. Culminating in the activation of a powerful ability he called the Demon Seal, as he fiercely warned anything in his path not to interfere. The Earth Dragon, still reeling from Amatsuki's previous assault, roared out the name Elphus, as a reptilian eye, belonging to the newly appeared female character, glowed with an ominous power. Unleashing an evil eye, ash explosion that further battered the already damaged beast, causing it to cry out in pain. The Earth Dragon struggled to recover, internally lamenting the possibility of defeat by mere weaklings, while a smaller, defiant dragon-like creature declared that it was not yet over. Meanwhile, Elphus, having expended her power, expressed her inability to use her evil eye any further, as Amatsuki Iori calmly addressed her. Recognizing Elphus's exhaustion, Amatsuki Iori proposed a new strategy, asking her to channel her remaining magic into his sword, believing it would be enough to stop their formidable foe. Elphus, though questioning if her depleted magic would suffice, complied, imbuing the blade with a potent glow as Iori confirmed its readiness. The Earth Dragon, initially dismissive of the seemingly ordinary weapon, declared that it could not be harmed by such a meager attack. However, Iori, with unwavering resolve, proclaimed the battle's end as the sword began to amplify the magic within it, revealing its true power. The dragon's defiance quickly turned to shock and then furious rage as the empowered blade pierced its massive form, eliciting a roar of "You! I'll kill you!" Amatsuki Iori, confident in his decisive strike, declared the battle it's over, but the severely wounded Earth Dragon reacted with disbelief, refusing to accept its defeat. As it roared in agony and rage, cursing "Damn all of you!" while its body convulsed from the critical blow. Suddenly, the enraged Earth Dragon unleashed a powerful burst of energy, throwing Amatsuki Iori violently backward, prompting him to question if that was the limit of the sword. As he was propelled through the air, realizing that his critical attack had not been enough to finish the formidable beast. Elphus caught the injured Amatsuki Iori, who appeared to be unconscious or severely weakened, and she remarked with a sense of resignation that she had expected this outcome. However, her expression quickly shifted to alarm as she cried out his name, indicating a sudden worsening of his condition or the emergence of a new threat. Amatsuki Iori regains consciousness, disoriented and questioning his surroundings, only to find Elphus leaning over him, relieved that he is finally awake. He reacts with surprise and embarrassment at finding his head resting in her lap, but Elphus dismisses his discomfort, playfully asking if he believed she would abandon him while he slept. Elphus then shifts the conversation, directly questioning if he is, in fact, Amatsu. Upon his reaction, Elphus confirms her suspicion, leaving Iori looking visibly shocked and exposed. Elphus, still seated, declared that she currently had no reason to fight Amatsuki Iori, prompting him to question why she had not attacked him if she had already realized his true identity. Elphus then began to add another point to her explanation. She then revealed that her legs were numb from him using them as a pillow, causing Iori to internally exclaim in disbelief, wondering if she was stupid. Elphus further clarified that she had noticed his identity when he used the shield, as his magic power felt similar to Amatsu's original magic. Iori continued to internally question her intelligence, still processing her peculiar reasoning. Having been identified, Iori requested that Elphus address him by his current name, Iori, as he had abandoned his former identity as Amatsu. Elphus, expressing surprise at his survival and noting his completely changed appearance after 30 years since their last encounter, inquired if he still fought as a hero. Iori confirmed he had indeed abandoned the name Amatsu. Elphus, in turn, granted him the honor of calling her Elphus. Elphus then elaborated on her current objective, stating that her last attempt to capture a labyrinth core had not yielded sufficient power, and she now intended to seek another in a different country. She then turned the conversation back to Iori, directly asking him about his future plans, a question he repeated aloud as he considered his options. Elphus acknowledged Iori's chosen name, stating she would call him by it from then on. She then revealed her own business with other labyrinths and proposed that Iori accompany her if he prepared 3 meals a day for her, quickly lowering her demand to 2, then 1 meal, when he initially refused. But when Iori flatly refused, stating he would instead go collect scales from the Earth Dragon, Elphus reacted with a shocked and emphatic "no." She then demanded to know who he thought he was, asserting her identity as the mighty demon lord and claiming it would be his victory to take her along, though Iori internally noted she was merely the former demon lord. Elphus continued to press Amatsuki Iori, demanding to know why he wouldn't allow her to accompany him, to which Iori firmly reiterated his preference to remain alone. Suddenly, Iori's attention was drawn to a peculiar object, which he quickly identified as the core crystal of an earth dragon. Before Elphus, now holding the very crystal Iori sought, gleefully taunted him with it, offering to return it only if he agreed to assist her on her journey, a proposition Iori vehemently rejected as he lunged towards her in an attempt to reclaim the item. But Elphus swiftly evaded his grasp, flying further away with the crystal still in hand, prompting Iori to continue his determined pursuit. Amatsuki Iori, despite his frustration, reluctantly agreed to Elphus's terms, but immediately demanded to know her true motivations for exploring the labyrinths, to which Elphus reacted with surprised excitement. While internally, Iori cursed her, his expression twisting into a sinister smile that betrayed his true, unwilling compliance. Elphus, still floating above, casually assented to his demand, then urged him to descend. But Iori remained silent, looking away, prompting Elphus to inquire about his sudden quietness. Elphus, still seemingly stuck within the cracked wall, asked Iori for assistance, inquiring if he could help her get down. She then clarified that not all of her was truly present at that moment, leading Iori to incredulously ask if she meant she was stupid, a notion Elphus quickly denied. Elphus then elaborated, revealing that her body and magic power had been divided into 5 distinct parts, each sealed within one of the labyrinths, despite her appearing to have her complete form. She further confessed that she was currently only a head, with the remainder of her body being a magical construct, a revelation that prompted a surprised Iori to tell her she didn't need to explain any further. Amatsuki Iori, observing Elphus, questioned why she had not utilized her abilities to descend earlier, implying a recent display of her magical power. Elphus responded with a blank expression, prompting Iori to internally conclude that her fragmented state also affected her common sense. Iori then pressed Elphus for details, asking who had inflicted her current state upon her and why she, a presumed member of the Demon Lord's army, had been sealed by the new Demon Lord, Ortygia. Elphus clarified that she had been banished from the army because she was the former Demon Lord, adding that the full reason for her sealing dated back to Iori's time as a hero. Elphus, still ensnared by the sealing magic, confessed that her emotions had led to her downfall, further revealing that the female knight Iori had been with was responsible for dividing her body into 5 parts. Iori, recalling the female knight Lucifina, questioned how she could have performed such a sealing, given her known specialty was cutting, not sealing, and wondered if another method or power had been involved. A new figure, Ryus, appeared before Amatsuki Iori, laughing maniacally as he expressed his surprise that Iori was not imprisoned, having believed it was the right decision to pursue him. Iori, in turn, questioned Ryus on how he managed to prove his innocence, to which Ryus replied that it had been a very difficult process. Ryus then noticed Elphus beside Iori, demanding to know the identity of the demon woman and accusing Iori of defecting to the demon side. He declared that a hero colluding with a demon was unthinkable, offering Iori forgiveness if he would simply return the national treasures he had allegedly stolen and swear loyalty to the kingdom. Iori directly questioned Ryus, asking if he truly believed Iori would consider his offer. As Ryus then challenged Iori to prove his loyalty to the kingdom by killing Elphus, whom he dismissed as a simple demon. Ryus, with a mocking grin, then declared that heroes were only capable of dreaming of flowers and rainbows, implying their idealism made them weak. Iori retorted that Ryus was a fool to think he would comply with such a demand, which only provoked Ryus further, as he laughed, calling Iori soft for his inability to kill, and deriding his past dedication to duties and protecting a sister who, according to Ryus, did not even exist. Ryus reiterated his belief that heroes were merely dreamers. A commanding voice abruptly ordered silence, prompting Ryus to sigh in annoyance and question what was wanted of him. As Elphus reiterated her command for him to remain silent, before turning her attention to Amatsuki Iori, expressing understanding for his plight of being ridiculed by demons, much like she was by humans, suggesting their shared experience. Iori, looking downcast, conceded their similarity, admitting his weariness of being laughed at. Enraged by Iori's refusal of their offer and Elphas's intervention, Ryusus declared Iori a traitor and immediately commanded his soldiers to kill him. Elphas, revealing a formidable power, unleashed a devastating assault on Ryusus's soldiers, swiftly incapacitating them with powerful, sweeping attacks. Leaving Ryusus stunned and questioning the tactical blunder of bringing only untrained mages without proper support. As the reality of their vulnerability against such power became starkly clear. With the immediate threat neutralized, Elphas turned her attention to Amatsuki Iori, her expression serious, and asked him about his next move now that he was truly on his own. Ryusus, utterly defeated and terrified, desperately pleaded with Elphas to stop, begging for mercy, while Elphas merely regarded him with a dismissive gaze, labeling him pathetic. Ryusus continued to scream, declaring his surrender and imploring not to be killed, as Amatsuki Iori watched the spectacle with a subtle, knowing smirk. However, Ryusus's fear quickly transformed into a desperate defiance as he suddenly lunged at Iori, vehemently declaring that he would never surrender to someone like him. His hand moving with a swift, desperate motion as he initiated his surprise attack. Ryusus's desperate surprise attack was swiftly countered by Amatsuki Iori, who severed Ryusus's arm in a single, decisive strike. Leaving Ryusus screaming in agony as Amatsuki Iori calmly questioned how it felt to lose a limb. Ryusus, clutching his bleeding stump, cursed Amatsuki Iori, declaring the situation to be bullshit in his pain and fury. Observing the scene, Elphas suddenly recognized Amatsuki Iori, realizing he was the same demon they had fought 30 years prior, while simultaneously, Ryusus's severed arm began to rapidly heal, indicating a powerful magical regeneration at work. A shimmering, web-like barrier or spatial distortion manifested, creating a complex pattern across the area. Elphas extended a hand, attempting to persuade Ryusus to join forces against Amatsuki Iori, revealing that Amatsuki was in fact Amatsu, the hero who had previously defeated Ryusus, and appealing to his presumed grudge. Ryusus vehemently rejected the offer, but Elphas swiftly silenced him with a physical strike, then calmly advised Amatsuki Iori to choose his friends more wisely. The strike rendered Ryusus unconscious, prompting Amatsuki Iori to observe his fallen state before producing a dagger and declaring an intention to act while Ryusus remained incapacitated. Amatsuki Iori, holding the dagger, confirmed it was the golden sword of probing, an artifact capable of reading memories, though it possessed only a single use. She declared her intent to utilize its power on the unconscious Ryusus, specifically seeking memories related to the betrayal. With a swift, decisive motion, Amatsuki plunged the golden sword of probing into Ryusus, initiating the memory extraction process. As the blade connected, fragmented memories began to surface, revealing a past conversation between shadowy figures. One voice noted Ryusus's complete trust, suggesting it would be easy to betray him, while another expressed a desire for the honor of killing the demon lord. The conspirators agreed to signal when the time was right, with one figure expressing annoyance at Ryusus and another asking if they also intended to kill Amatsu. The memories continued, revealing the conspirators' desire for both the demon lord and the hero to disappear, viewing them as mere nuisances. One figure expressed a strong dislike for Amatsu, stating they couldn't stand his face, and another confidently declared a plan to guarantee Amatsu's death. As Ryusus regained consciousness, the extracted memories coalesced into a clear understanding of the past betrayal, prompting him to utter, "I see. So that's how it was then." A profound sadness washing over him as tears streamed down his face, the full weight of the conspiracy settling upon his heart. The revelation of Elphas's treachery and the plot against him, the demon lord, and Amatsuki Iori caused immense internal turmoil, visibly distressing him. His sorrow swiftly hardened into a resolute determination, his fist clenching in silent resolve against those who had wronged him. Amatsuki Iori watched with concern as a dark, swirling aura of rage enveloped Ryusus, who, consumed by the revelations of betrayal, began to lose control. His fury erupted into a primal scream, declaring his intent to kill not only his betrayers but every single human, regardless of their allegiance, vowing to eliminate them all. He continued his terrifying outburst, promising that those who had betrayed him would regret it from the depths of their hearts, as he would ensure every last one of them perished. As Ryusus's rage manifested in a physical attack, Amatsuki Iori quickly intervened, grabbing his arm and urging him to stop, warning that his continued assault would lead to his own demise. Ryusus, still consumed by his rage, demanded to be released, but Amatsuki observed that his robe was enchanted with magic. Noting the intricate patterns and questioning if it was a special enchanting technique, Amatsuki then explained the robe's powerful primary enchantment: if its wearer were killed, the killer would meet the same fate, rendering them unable to harm Ryusus while he wore it. Furthermore, she revealed a second enchantment preventing its forceful removal, warning that any attempt would cause the robe to explode and destroy the entire area, identifying the magic as belonging to Reaper, a member of the Demon Lord's army. Still overwhelmed by rage, Ryusus cursed his predicament, expressing his intense frustration. As Amatsuki Iori, observing his fury, inquired about his next course of action, Ryusus, still restrained, declared his unwavering intent to kill everyone who had betrayed him, stating that he needed to regain his full power to achieve this revenge. He further elaborated on his betrayal, recounting how friends he trusted had plotted his demise and mocked his dreams in his final moments. Ryusus then turned the question back to Iori, addressing her by the name Elphys, asking what she would do once she regained her own powers. To which Iori, with a fierce expression, declared her intention to take revenge on Ortega and his followers, proclaiming that she would once again become the Demon Lord. Ryusus, hearing this, remarked on their striking similarities. Amatsuki Iori, having revealed her true identity and intentions, once again extended her hand to Ryusus, reiterating her question about his plans for regaining power, and promising that as long as he remained her companion, she would never betray him. Ryusus, in turn, accepted her offer, asking if she would come with him, acknowledging her as the former hero. The two sealed their newfound alliance with a firm handshake, a silent agreement passing between them. With a sinister smile, Ryusus confirmed his acceptance, declaring that he would be in the former Demon Lord's care, solidifying their pact. In a brutal act of betrayal, Amatsuki Iori stood over a severely wounded Ryusus, who lay on the ground, his arms severed. She mockingly bade him farewell, instructing him to endure the pain of his loss until she returned to finish him. As Amatsuki departed, Ryusus, writhing in agony and consumed by rage, could only manage a desperate, internal vow of "I'll kill," directed at his betrayer. This traumatic event fueled Ryusus's resolve. Later, reflecting on that pivotal moment, he, now accompanied by a demoness, declared his intent to make those who betrayed him, specifically listing himself, Dionysus, Lucifina, and everyone else, regret their actions, acknowledging his own survival as a stroke of luck. The presence of the demoness, who shares the name Lucifina, alongside him while he names her as a target, creates an immediate unresolved tension regarding the nature of their alliance. After departing from a labyrinth, Ryusus and Lucifina journeyed towards the next country, finding themselves within the vast expanse of the forest of Uragusu. As they traveled, Ryusus inquired about the type of magic required to dispel the enchantments on a particular robe, to which Lucifina responded that neither of them possessed the necessary magic power in their current weakened state. Lucifina, with renewed vigor, declared that they should hasten to regain their former strength so they could eliminate all those who had betrayed them. Ryusus, looking thoughtful, quietly affirmed her sentiment, agreeing with the plan to regain their power and exact revenge. He continued to ponder their situation, his agreement with Lucifina solidifying their shared objective. Ryusus and Lucifina, having reached their destination, observed the landscape from behind a tree, with Ryusus declaring that he could finally see it. The vista revealed the Federation of Buracania, a bustling town nestled near towering rock formations, identified by Ryusus as the home of the labyrinth of Purgatory and his next target. As they entered the town, Ryusus reminded Lucifina, now appearing as Elphys due to a bracelet of disguise, to keep the enchantment active, explaining that a demon's casual presence would incite panic, to which Elphys reluctantly agreed despite the difficulty in movement. Elphys then commented on the town's unexpected vibrancy, finding it hard to believe such a lively place was near a labyrinth, prompting Ryusus to explain its popularity as a famous hot springs tourist destination. As Lucifina, disguised as Elphys, declared she had got it, she dramatically pulled a large, rectangular object from her head, startling a nearby cat-eared girl who cried out in surprise. The object shattered into numerous pieces, burying the panicked girl who then exclaimed, "Please wait while I go get the master NYA," before rushing off, leaving Lucifina utterly bewildered by the strong reaction. Lucifina pondered the encounter, feeling that the girl had looked at her strangely, while Ryusis, now visible, commented that such a look was natural considering she had just pulled an object from her head. He then added, expressing his own non-human perspective, that he did not understand what was so peculiar about the act itself. Lucifina remained perplexed by the human's strong reaction, internally questioning why her ability to produce objects was considered so unusual. As the cat-eared girl, now identified as Nyanmal, returned with an older, goggled man who apologized for their delay. The goggled man, presumably a craftsman, then carefully examined the rocky material Lucifina had produced, inquiring if it originated from an earth dragon. Before confirming his ability to forge a sword from it within a few days and instructing Nyanmal to acquire the necessary additional materials. As Ryusis began to explain that they would likely pass the registration exam but needed to be careful, Lucifina interrupted, asking what was wrong, sensing something amiss. She then questioned Ryusis, a former hero, for his apparent inability to perceive the situation, demanding to know why he couldn't tell what was happening. Ryusis, confused, wondered if she had smelled something, to which Lucifina emphatically stated that she had completely frozen upon smelling it, finding the sensation incredible. The source of her overwhelming reaction was then revealed to be the Federation's special cuisine, a sizzling dish known as volcano roast. The scene shifted to an arena where Ryusis faced an aggressive opponent who warned him that he should have listened to his earlier advice, declaring his intent to prove Ryusis didn't belong there. While Ryusis confidently dismissed the threat, stating the challenge should be easy enough, just as the command to begin was issued. As his body underwent a transformation, manifesting body magic, earth armor, and covering him in a formidable, rock-like shell, all while Ryusis observed calmly. As the opponent aggressively declared their intent to bar Ryusis from the guild, Ryusis calmly activated his own ability, Magic Break, Spell Canceller. And instantly, the opponent's earth armor shattered into pieces, leaving them bewildered as the Spell Canceller was revealed to be a magic that steals an opponent's magic power, preventing their spells from working. Leaving the opponent in a state of shock and confusion, questioning the sudden disappearance of their magic. Seizing the moment, Ryusis then launched a direct physical attack, demonstrating that while powerful, the Spell Canceller requires proper timing to activate. Ryusis's physical assault connected with precision, his hand firmly gripping his opponent's arm. As he swiftly moved to overpower the wolf demi-human in a close-quarters grapple, demonstrating superior combat prowess. Culminating in a decisive throw that left the opponent stunned on the ground. Ryusis then declared the match over, holding his sword to the defeated foe's throat, leaving the opponent in disbelief. From the stands, spectators expressed their shock and confusion, questioning Ryusis's identity and marveling at his ability to so easily defeat a wolf demi-human, who were known for their monstrous strength. Ryusis stood, seemingly having concluded his match, while a fox-eared individual observed from a higher vantage point. As a long-haired woman with a tiara inquired if he had finished his task with Iori. Ryusis confirmed that there were no issues, indicating his task was complete. The long-haired woman, feeling hungry, then asked if their business at the location was concluded, while a different woman, wearing a hat, informed them that the exam results would be revealed at a later date and instructed them to return for the announcement. Ryusis agreed to the tiara woman's suggestion to find food, who eagerly anticipated a meal of volcano roast. When a voice suddenly called out to him, interrupting their departure. The fox-eared observer, accompanied by another individual, confronted Ryusis, warning him not to become arrogant for a single victory, to which Ryusis calmly stated he had no such intention. The observer further expressed his dislike for Ryusis's composed demeanor before instructing his companion, Elphus, to leave. The fox-eared observer, still agitated, attempted to continue his confrontation, shouting "wait," as he reached out with a clawed hand. But a fox-eared woman with an eye patch, identified as Misha, firmly grabbed his arm, declaring, "That's enough. Stop picking fights without reason." Another woman present, with red hair, then urged Misha to stop her intervention. As the fox-eared observer, now identified as the one who provoked Ryusis, dismissively stated he would ensure Merwin hears about this while walking away. Misha reflected on her physical intervention, noting that she had been very close to breaking the fox-eared observer's arm during their confrontation, a thought that elicited a subtle internal reaction from her.
However, she quickly dismissed the physical aspect, realizing something far more significant had occurred. The fox-eared observer's threat had inadvertently confirmed that one of her primary targets, Merwin Johannes, was indeed present in the city, a revelation that brought a chilling, wide smile to Misha's face. Ryus, overhearing Misha's declaration, reacted with a look of clear surprise and confusion. A new scene unfolded in the city streets where a fox-eared girl was being aggressively confronted by a blonde man for an apparent collision, while a dark-haired young man named Iori and his blonde companion observed the escalating situation. His companion recognized the distressed girl as the clerk from the local blacksmith shop, wondering aloud about her identity. As the confrontation continued, Iori observed the lack of intervention from others, internally questioning if everyone was simply pretending not to notice the escalating situation. He felt a reluctance to get involved, but a pragmatic thought quickly followed. He realized that if Nyanmal, the fox-eared blacksmith's clerk, were to be injured, the completion of his sword might be delayed, providing him with a clear, self-serving reason to act. Stepping forward, Iori directly addressed the blonde man, asking if he wanted something and pointing out that the girl had already apologized, suggesting his reaction was excessive. The blonde man reacted with increased aggression, asserting that Iori had no business interfering and demanding he leave, while also declaring that wolfmen were the ones in charge in the area, further pushing Nyanmal. The man with glasses intervened, expressing his disapproval of the public disturbance and stating that such behavior was unsightly, which caused Iori to react with surprise. As the man, now revealed to possess fox ears similar to Nyanmal, looked annoyed and rubbed his temple, directly addressing the harasser by name, Merwin Johannes. The man with glasses began to recount a past betrayal, explaining that long before his encounter with Elphus, a wolfman comrade named Merwin had betrayed him, prompting his younger self to demand an explanation for Merwin's actions. He revealed that Merwin's actions were coerced by demons who threatened to kill his fellow wolfmen if he did not capture the hero alive. Upon hearing Merwin's desperate plea, the man with glasses, then known as Amatsu, forgave him and feigned capture, allowing them to work together to defeat the responsible demon. Merwin, deeply grateful for Amatsu's kindness, then expressed that he would never forget it, and clasped Amatsu's hand, expressing a shared desire to end the war and achieve the peaceful world Amatsu envisioned. A cat-eared girl named Iori approached a dark-haired individual, asking if Nyanmal was alright, to which the individual confirmed their well-being. Iori then had a sudden realization, exclaiming that she had almost forgotten something crucial. She then informed the male protagonist, Nyanmal, that his sword would be completed by tomorrow, explaining that the master had specifically instructed her to deliver this message. Nyanmal expressed his gratitude for the update. With her message delivered, Iori quickly departed, telling Nyanmal she would see him at the shop. Nyanmal considered the individual named Merwin, acknowledging that he would likely be a troublesome opponent, yet firmly resolved to kill him regardless. Though he internally expressed a desire to speak with Merwin before resorting to lethal force. Nyanmal then shifted his focus from the matter of Merwin, indicating a change in immediate priorities, and admonished the demon girl for eating on his bed, instructing her to move to her own room, to which she lazily proposed he join her instead. Nyanmal sat beside the demon girl, who continued to happily consume her meal, while he ate his own food with a slightly weary expression. As she contentedly held a large bun, letting out a soft sigh of satisfaction. The scene then shifted to an exterior view of a building, suggesting a new location. Inside, a small cat-eared girl greeted Nyanmal and the demon girl with a cheerful welcome. Naya, recognizing them immediately. The cat-eared girl, Nyanmal, expressed her gratitude to the protagonist for his help, admitting she thought she was a goner and adding her characteristic Naya to her speech. The demon girl, however, found it odd that Nyanmal hadn't simply run away, given that cat demi-humans are typically fast. Which caused the protagonist to react with shock, vehemently denying that he had cat ears and insisting his head was completely normal. The cat-eared girl, Nyanmal, was taken aback by his outburst, retorting that he was the weird one for pulling stuff out of her head. Naya. As the conversation continued, two new individuals, Iori and Elphus, approached, recognizing the protagonist and the demon girl from the guild the previous day. Iori introduced himself and Elphus, expressing his pleasure at seeing them again, while the cat-eared Nyanmal admonished the protagonist not to be mean to his customers. Suddenly, an older cat-eared woman with an eye patch appeared, introducing herself as Misha, Nyanmal's older sister,
and thanked the protagonist for assisting her sibling yesterday. The blacksmith, Buracania, presented a newly forged sword, stating he poured his entire effort into its creation and hoped it would serve its wielder well. He further explained that the magic sword, Sword of Jade, would grant several boosts, including enhanced magic defense, body strengthening, and magic recovery, reiterating his wish for it to serve its owner well. Observing the impressive weapon, Elphys remarked on its quality, while the cat-eared Nyanmal expressed her amazement with a characteristic Naya. The demon girl, in a playful tone, offered to take the sword if Iori did not want it, prompting Iori to inquire about its price, almost regretting the question given its apparent value. Iori inquired about Buracania's reasons for taking in the two girls, prompting the blacksmith to recount events from 30 years prior, when his area was attacked by the Demon Lord's army during the Great War. Buracania explained that during that time of trouble, an unknown man had saved him. When asked why he helped, the man simply stated, "I helped you because I wanted to." Buracania later discovered this man was the hero, and remembering his words, he decided to take in the two girls when he saw them in similar distress. He then added with a chuckle that, beyond that, he also needed a new assistant. Buracania, having concluded his explanation, inquired about the name of one of his listeners, before revealing his own name to be Zoltz, accompanied by a slight smile. Meanwhile, Iori internally dismissed Buracania's earlier claim of helping others purely out of desire as nonsense, indicating her disbelief in his stated altruism. As the perspective shifted to an exterior view of a building, Nyanmal inquired about Misha's guild rank, to which Misha readily replied that she was a B-rank adventurer. A revelation that surprised both Iori and Elphys, with Elphys questioning if B-rank was truly impressive. An explanation followed, detailing that adventurers were ranked from A to E, and B rank was the second highest, considered extremely difficult for an average adventurer to attain, with A rank being even more challenging to achieve. Misha, however, humbly added that she was still far from reaching A rank. Iori observed that two individuals, likely Misha and Elphys, had managed to defeat their exam opponents instantly. To which Elphys confidently declared that none of those weaklings could hope to match her power. In contrast, the cat-eared girl recalled her own exam, admitting she doubted she would have won if her opponent had gone all out. Iori internally conceded that Elphys was not wrong about her current power, but also noted that she was not yet an A rank or higher, before thinking to himself that there she goes in reference to Elphys's boastful nature. The scene then shifted to an exterior view of a grand building, featuring ornate balconies and pillars. The cat-eared girl, visibly distressed, revealed the judge's unexpected ruling that both participants had failed their exam. A declaration that Iori immediately dismissed as nonsense, pointing out that both individuals had clearly defeated their opponents, while Elphys looked on with a surprised expression. The cat-eared girl vehemently agreed, questioning how they could have failed after not only winning but completely destroying their opponents. Another voice then interjected, telling the cat girl to stop shouting. Following the exam results, Iori confronted Elphys with a taunting smirk, wishing him luck on future exams but asserting that the outcome would never change, implying Elphys's continued failure. Elphys, taking responsibility for the wolfmen targeting the cat-eared girl, apologized to her before departing, while she attempted to reassure him that it was not his fault. A document or internal thought then presented an alternative path, the labyrinth subjugation recruitment test, set to occur in a few days, offering another chance to enter the labyrinth, though a pessimistic voice doubted its efficacy, fearing the same tricks would be employed. As Elphys departed, a new crisis unfolded when a frantic woman named Rua rushed towards the cat-eared girl, now identified as Misha, exclaiming that something terrible had happened to the shop and urgently asking about Misha's whereabouts. Misha, the cat-eared girl, discovered two unconscious figures, Nyanmal and Zoltz, amidst the devastation, reacting with shock and disbelief. As Elphys reassured her that Nyanmal was still breathing, though Misha remained distraught, questioning the cause of the tragedy. A new, blindfolded woman with long white hair, identified as Iori, appeared beside Elphys, who looked at her with a concerned expression. Meanwhile, the male Iori, who had previously taunted Elphys, stood amidst a massive explosion, a sinister smile gracing his face, strongly implying his culpability in the destruction. Elphys, the cat-eared man, revealed a sinister smile amidst the lingering chaos, while Iori declared that their plans to go to the labyrinth would have to be delayed. as there was someone who needed to be dealt with first, a sentiment reinforced by the sight of a damaged sign, likely belonging to the blacksmith shop. Iori then recounted how he had felt a distinct magical power at the blacksmith, concluding that the fire could not have been an accident. Iori, female, expressed her uncertainty about their next course of action, questioning what they should do after the recent events. Iori, male, suggested they first check on the victims of the recent attack, opening a door to a room. Inside, a cat-eared girl, presumably a survivor or caretaker, thanked them for coming to check on the injured. As she sat beside a bed where someone appeared to be recovering. As Iori and Elphys politely assured someone that their visit was no trouble, the cat-eared girl, Misha, internally acknowledged the arrival of Merwin, who, accompanied by several similar-looking men, offered his deepest sympathies to Misha for the recent terrible accident, remarking on the awfulness of such an event happening to someone she cared about. Misha, however, confronted Merwin, questioning if he might have angered someone he shouldn't have, while Merwin or one of his associates chuckled, mentioning that the cause of the incident was a type of flame magic. Her suspicions confirmed and her anger ignited, Misha lunged forward, shouting Merwin's name in a furious outburst. Merwin reacted to Misha's lunge with feigned surprise, remarking on her lack of politeness, before subtly taunting her. Suggesting that her quickness to violence might be the reason she had enemies and warning that future attacks might be more severe than mere burns, his expression shifting to a sinister smile as he delivered the veiled threat. Misha, now visibly injured with an eye patch, vehemently defended the old man and the young cat-eared girl, Nyanmal, from any blame, explaining that Nyanmal was largely unharmed due to Zolt's protection. Overwhelmed by guilt, she lamented that the incident occurred because the old man offered her shelter and that Nyanmal, being just a child, was an innocent victim. Her anguish peaking as she cried out, questioning why her attackers did not simply target her alone. A profound thought emerged, suggesting that only those who have truly lost everything should contemplate revenge. And with a hardened gaze, Iori declared his intent to take out some trash, as Elphys acknowledged his resolve and urged him forward. Merwin and his accomplice frantically fled through the streets, one of them anxiously questioning if they had managed to escape their pursuers. Before a sudden, powerful impact erupted around them, throwing them violently through the air. Merwin, now on the ground, glared up at their unseen assailant, angrily demanding to know what they hoped to gain from this confrontation. Standing over the subdued men was a formidable, masked female figure with horns and wings, who calmly declared that she and her allies had anticipated their attempt to follow them. The mysterious female figure, having successfully apprehended Merwin, held a knife to his throat, sternly warning him not to move or make a sound without her permission, lest he face immediate death. She then addressed the terrified man directly, asking if his name was indeed Gordon, as sweat beaded on his brow. Gordon, visibly shaken and unable to speak, could only manage a silent gulp and nod in confirmation of his identity. With his name confirmed, the female figure pressed him further, demanding to know the truth about whether he and his accomplice were responsible for starting the fire at the blacksmith's. Gordon, blindfolded and held at knife point by one of his captors, hesitantly confirmed his identity when pressed. He then vehemently denied any personal involvement in the blacksmith fire, attempting to shift all blame onto his accomplices, while his own accomplice looked on with a questioning expression, asking if that was truly the case. As Gordon remained blindfolded, held by his accomplice, the mysterious interrogator pressed further, demanding to know Merwin's current whereabouts. Despite his precarious situation, Gordon subtly smirked, hinting at a hidden agenda or a secret he possessed. Merwin's accomplice lay injured on the ground, prompting a shocked exclamation from an unseen observer, as dark liquid pooled around them. The mysterious female figure, her gaze unwavering, declared her intention to ask her question one more time, intensifying the pressure. She demanded to know the precise location of Merwin Johannes from Gordon, who appeared visibly distressed and sweating under the renewed interrogation. Gordon, now revealed to possess rabbit-like ears, reacted with surprise, questioning the situation, but the mysterious female figure sharply retorted, asking when she had ever implied she would comply with his unspoken expectations. Under duress, Gordon revealed Merwin Johannes's location, pointing towards a grand mansion. And then, hoping for release, asked the mysterious female figure if he would now be set free after fulfilling her demand. However, the female figure, with a cold gaze, retorted that she had never made such a promise. and without hesitation, unleashed a powerful ability, break magic, demon shot, directly at Gordon, incapacitating him. One of the dog-like creatures, part of the mansion's security, observed the heightened defenses, noting that the guards were on high alert and equipped with magic items. The mysterious female figure, now clearly possessing horns, acknowledged that their arrival was likely anticipated by those within the mansion. But her dark-haired male companion dismissed the concern, stating it did not matter, and confirmed his readiness when she urged him to be prepared for anything. With their resolve firm, the dark-haired male companion then moved to breach a sturdy wooden door, with the mysterious horned female figure close behind him. Iori remained deeply concerned by the fact that Merwin, a newcomer to town, already had men watching them, finding it inexplicable how Merwin could even know of their existence. Leading him to exclaim in sudden surprise as he peered through a gap, realizing something unexpected. The mansion, contrary to their expectations, was completely devoid of life. There were no guards, and it seemed impossible that everyone could have escaped without their notice. As they stood in the empty hall, Iori instructed Elphys to be prepared to act should anything happen to him, though Elphys dismissed his concern, telling him not to be so dramatic. Iori voiced her apprehension, warning Elphys that their adversaries were likely awaiting them below. Despite her caution, Elphys, resolute in his decision, declared they should proceed, and began to descend the dark, foreboding staircase. Iori, taken aback by his sudden change in direction, questioned Elphys's actions, asking what he was doing. As they descended into the darkness, Iori clung tightly to Elphys, claiming it made walking easier, prompting Elphys to question if she was afraid of the dark. A silent, awkward moment passed between them, with Elphys clearly unconvinced by her explanation. Before Iori vehemently denied any such fear, despite her actions. Moments later, Elphys paused, announcing that he had discovered something on the wall, while Iori cautiously peered from behind a partially open door. Iori, startled by an unseen threat, urgently warned Elphys to retreat as something unseen impacted the wall where Elphys had made her discovery. Elphys, reacting swiftly, erected a devil's barrier around herself and Iori, deflecting the incoming assault. However, the force of the attack was immense, causing a powerful impact that sent Elphys reeling, knocking her to the ground, seemingly unconscious, as Iori cried out her name in distress. The attacker's clawed hand loomed over the scene, as Iori, still reeling from Elphys's incapacitation, cursed the unfolding situation. Realizing with alarm that the barrier Elphys had erected was not merely defensive, but actively drained magic power. Suddenly, a new figure emerged, a fox-eared man in a suit, who casually addressed Iori, revealing a past connection by stating he had been expecting Iori's arrival and recalling his former name, Amatsu. The fox-eared man stood confidently upon an intricate magical circle, explaining that he knew of Iori's return through someone named Ryus, confirming his awareness of Iori's movements. The fox-eared man, maintaining his smug demeanor, confirmed that he had not changed much, revealing his calculated scheme to lure Iori by burning down the blacksmith's shop. Iori, his face contorted in anger, drew his sword and questioned if the man had truly resorted to such destruction merely to draw him out. The fox-eared man casually affirmed his actions, explaining that the arson not only served to lure Iori but also functioned as a warning for the damn feline. Iori's face contorted further into a mask of furious determination. The fox-eared man, with a sinister grin, declared that Iori's presence meant he had achieved two objectives simultaneously, asserting that victory belonged to the one who struck first. He then revealed a magical barrier, asking Iori how he felt now that all his magic had been drained by it, to which Iori responded with a sense of nostalgia. Iori confirmed the feeling of nostalgia as the fox-eared man stood over him, observing his weakened state. With a wide, fanged smile, the fox-eared man then revealed the shocking truth: he had used the very same barrier to ambush Iori 30 years prior, explaining Iori's familiar sensation. Iori, still trapped and weakened by the magic draining barrier, realized he was too close to evade the impending attack, and was struck by an unseen force, crying out in pain as the impact rattled him. Despite his pain, Iori angrily confronted the fox-eared man, accusing him of personally burning down a store, not merely sending his subordinates. The fox-eared man, casually conjuring a small flame in his hand, merely smirked and asked who truly knew the details, before declaring his intent to burn Iori next and unleashing a torrent of flames directly at him. As the powerful fire spell continued to engulf Iori, the fox-eared man relentlessly taunted him, declaring him pathetic and asserting that his former self would be disappointed.
Iori, despite his injuries, defiantly cursed him as a piece of shit.
The fox-eared man, laughing maniacally, reveled in Iori's enraged expression, claiming it suited him far better than the disgusting savior face he once wore. With the immediate assault seemingly concluded, the fox-eared man sat smugly, expressing his delight in watching humans struggle and calling their expressions masterpieces. He then ominously suggested he would have the chance to witness such struggles again soon, leaving Iori confused and questioning his words. Holding a small flame in his hand, the fox-eared man then revealed his true allegiance, stating that Demon Lord Ortegia would soon regain his power, signaling humanity's end. He declared his intention to follow whoever guaranteed his survival, asserting that there is no place in this world for weaklings.
Iori, still on the ground, could only ask if he was joining the Demon Lord's army. A moment of tense silence hung before a closed door, hinting at an impending revelation or confrontation.
As the fox-eared man continued his taunts, asking Iori what was wrong and observing that he seemed to be having a hard time. Angered by the disabled barrier, the fox-eared man vehemently called for his allies to emerge, while Iori, undeterred, defiantly agreed, urging them to come out. From above, a horned demon girl cautiously inquired if it was safe to proceed, as the fox-eared man stared in disbelief, exclaiming that Iori should have been dead on the floor.
The fox-eared man, utterly bewildered, demanded to know how Iori could still be alive.
As the demon girl, holding her head, cheerfully explained that she was merely ahead at the moment and had faked her death when the barrier activated, as she wasn't even touching it. Iori, still on the ground but speaking with renewed vigor, revealed that while the fox-eared man was talking, he had been actively disabling the barrier. And had also taken care of the misbehaving dogs, declaring that a barrier without an activator was nothing more than a useless decoration, leaving the fox-eared man in utter disbelief. With a confident, almost menacing smile, Iori revealed his full name to be Merwin Johannes, his eyes gleaming with determination as he prepared for the impending confrontation. The demon girl addressed Iori by his full name, Merwin, asking if he was prepared for the impending confrontation, while the lead fox-eared man, still enraged, defiantly cursed him. He then declared his intent to assert dominance and commanded his subordinates to attack immediately. One of the subordinates, a fox-eared man with dark hair, swiftly drew a knife, confirming his readiness to obey the command. He lunged forward with surprising speed, aiming his blade at Iori, who quickly parried the strike with his own sword, prompting the attacker to acknowledge Iori's swiftness. Iori swiftly parried the initial knife attack, surprising the fox-eared subordinate who questioned his speed, while Iori internally noted that the body-strengthening abilities of his sword were far greater than he had initially imagined. He moved with such agility that the attacker barely registered his counter, leaving him vulnerable. The swift counter resulted in the subordinate collapsing to the ground, clutching his legs in pain and shock, while another subordinate reacted with disbelief at the sudden turn of events. Witnessing his subordinate's swift defeat and injury, the fox-eared leader erupted in a furious curse, vowing retribution. A new, powerful figure, a woman with long white hair, horns, and elven ears, observed the ongoing conflict with a thoughtful expression, her gaze fixed on the injured subordinate. As she effortlessly exerted her will, activating gravity magic, heavy gravitation to pin the defeated fox-eared subordinate to the ground, remarking that he should really try harder than that in a dismissive tone. The subordinate cried out in agony and disbelief, completely overwhelmed by the sudden, immense pressure. Meanwhile, the fox-eared leader, now wearing glasses, furiously berated his subordinates, declaring them useless, while another subordinate questioned how he was expected to escape if they couldn't even hold off their opponents. As the fox-eared subordinate, pinned by the gravity magic, desperately pleaded with his leader not to abandon them, the fox-eared leader vehemently silenced him, declaring himself the savior of the wolfmen and prioritizing his own escape. Unaware that the new female character had moved behind him, stating that turning his back was a mistake, while he continued to loudly proclaim that his life was more important than any of theirs and demanded their protection. Leaving both the fox-eared leader and his subordinate completely incapacitated and pinned to the ground, the leader cursing his predicament while his subordinate continued to desperately call for help from his now equally helpless boss. As the fox-eared leader, Merwin, remained incapacitated, a new male character with dark hair approached him, taunting him for abandoning his friends and questioning his earlier boasts of dominance. Merwin, now seemingly free, reacted with panic, shouting for the new character to get back, as he desperately tried to ward him off. However, the new character moved swiftly, pinning Merwin's hand against a wall, which began to crack under the force, declaring that he had finally caught him. The impact left a clear mark on the wall, with a metal bar bent from the force of Merwin's capture. The new male character, having effortlessly subdued Merwin and his group, addressed them while they sat defeated on the floor, stating that his next actions might take a while and apologizing to someone named Elphys, who was then revealed to be a powerful-looking female figure with horns, calmly telling him that she did not mind and he should do whatever he wanted. The male character confirmed his intent, remarking that he was planning to do just that. With an intense gaze and holding a small blade, the male character declared his intention to kill them all, but then reconsidered, stating he did not wish to waste his time. He offered a conditional reprieve, suggesting he might reconsider their fate if they complied with his demands. Two of Merwin's fox-eared subordinates immediately reacted with terror and desperation, pleading for their lives and asking what they needed to do to be spared. The new male character began by asking which of Merwin's subordinates had burned down the blacksmith, to which Merwin nervously confessed that he was responsible, though he quickly added that it had not been his idea. The new male character, guessing Merwin's involvement, then demanded to know whose idea it truly was. However, the new male character quickly dismissed the matter of the blacksmith, stating that it didn't truly matter to him, as his true purpose for being there was revenge against Merwin, whom he accused of a past betrayal.
Merwin's subordinates looked on in confusion, unaware of the history between their leader and the new male character.
The new male character, his expression intense and fangs bared, delivered a chilling ultimatum to Merwin's subordinates: either they kill Merwin, or he would kill them all, demanding they make their decision quickly. Merwin, still reeling from the previous accusations, reacted with panicked disbelief, shouting that his men would never betray him. However, his words were cut short by a cry of pain as his own subordinates attacked him, Merwin desperately questioning their actions and proclaiming himself their savior. As Merwin was held down, his subordinates retorted harshly, telling him to die so they could live, blaming him for their predicament and silencing his pleas. The new male character swiftly dealt with Merwin's subordinates, who had just betrayed their leader, sending them screaming to the ground. Before turning his attention to Merwin, who lay amidst the fallen, utterly bewildered by the sudden turn of events. The new male character then commanded Merwin to listen, while Merwin could only utter a confused "what?" With a somber expression, the new male character admitted he truly did not wish to proceed with this confrontation, but demanded to know why Merwin had betrayed him, especially after he had helped save Merwin's people. Merwin, bloodied and desperate, screamed that he had no other choice, fearing his reputation would be ruined if his people discovered he had attacked the new male character. Merwin, battered and tearful, confessed his actions were born of fear, while the new male character observed him with an intense gaze. As Merwin desperately pleaded for his life, begging not to be killed, to which the new male character calmly acknowledged his words. Unexpectedly, the new male character then expressed deep regret, lamenting his own failure as a hero for not noticing Merwin's feelings, and offered an apology, internally reflecting that he truly did not wish to inflict such circumstances upon Merwin. Merwin, already desperate, found himself drenched in a mysterious liquid, questioning if it was oil as he called out Amatsu's name in terror. Amatsu, holding a blade, revealed his internal conflict, stating he found apologizing disgusting and did not want to proceed, yet he had already set Merwin ablaze, remarking that burning was considered the most painful way to die and asking if Merwin knew another individual by that same name. Merwin screamed in sheer agony, begging for his life and pleading for the torment to stop. As Amatsu's hand was seen dropping a key into a small flame, the source of the inferno. Merwin's torment continued as he screamed in excruciating agony, his hand visibly burning and his face contorted in a desperate plea. While Amatsu stood calmly, a faint smirk playing on his lips, observing the suffering he had inflicted. A glowing, ethereal figure manifested behind him, and a blonde woman watched with a look of concern as Amatsu let out a soft, chilling chuckle, which quickly escalated into a maniacal, triumphant laugh as he declared his success, his eyes wide with a disturbing glee, reveling in the fact that Merwin had even apologized, exactly as he had intended, and vowing that he would make each and every one of them regret what they had done to him. Amatsu, still consumed by his maniacal triumph, uttered the name Iori while the blonde woman watched him with concern. As Merwin's burnt hand continued to smolder,
a testament to his ongoing agony. Amatsu's laughter echoed, a chilling sound of satisfaction.
That reverberated around a grand, yet somewhat dilapidated, mansion, signaling the beginning of his widespread revenge.
The fox-eared woman, a member of the Nyamal family, expressed her concern to the old man, stating that they did not possess enough money to pay for such a healing service.
However, the old man, a benevolent healing mage, calmly reassured her, explaining that she need not worry as he had already been paid fully in advance.
Surprised and confused by this revelation, the fox-eared woman pressed him further, asking who had paid him.
The old man then revealed that his benefactors were a duo, a black-haired boy and a silver-haired girl.
The fox-eared woman reacted with a look of profound surprise and a hint of concern upon hearing the old man's revelation about his mysterious payers, prompting her to swiftly hoist the old man onto her back and begin to run, even as he offered to start treatment for the injured. Her sudden action was driven by a clear determination to find the duo who had paid the healing mage in advance. Her urgent search quickly bore fruit as she spotted the black-haired boy and silver-haired girl walking down a street, immediately calling out their names, Elphys and Iori. The fox-eared woman, overwhelmed with gratitude, profusely thanked Iori and Elphys for paying for her family's medical treatment, asking how she could ever repay them. Iori, however, casually dismissed her thanks, stating it was fine and she shouldn't worry about it. But the fox-eared woman, noticing something amiss with his expression, urgently asked if he was all right, questioning what was wrong with his face. Elphys, standing beside the concerned fox-eared woman, explained that Iori had been acting strangely for some time, and she admitted her growing worry for him as he continued to walk away, seemingly lost in his own thoughts. Elphys attempted to rouse a still troubled Iori, asking him how long he planned to sleep and urging him to get ready to go outside. As two fox-eared girls, one with an eye patch and a younger one, excitedly called out Iori's name, eager for him to join them. The fox-eared woman with the eye patch explained that there was an event outside today, providing the reason for their enthusiasm. However, noticing Iori's continued withdrawn demeanor, the fox-eared woman suggested he take a break for a bit, while Elphys and the younger fox-eared girl looked on with surprise and concern. Elphys, along with the fox-eared woman, continued their efforts to rouse Iori from his troubled state, with Elphys particularly eager for him to join an activity, revealing their destination to be a volcanic dango eating competition. Elphys, now identified as Elfie, expressed immense enthusiasm for the event, while the fox-eared woman introduced herself as Misha, also eager to participate. Elfie then directly invited Iori to join the competition, but he politely declined, preferring to observe from a distance. Elfie appeared visibly disappointed by his refusal. Misha, observing Elfie's reaction, then drew her attention to a paper, which Elfie examined with curiosity, noticing the words Super Deluxe Prize. Elphys, brimming with confidence, declared to Iori that he should look forward to her victory, asserting that she would definitely win the competition. As the volcanic dango eating competition officially began, introduced by an enthusiastic announcer, Elphys and Misha stood among the participants, with Elphys noting the formidable strength of her fellow competitors. The competition's objective was straightforward: consume the greatest quantity of dango to claim victory. And with that simple rule established, the announcer prepared to commence the eat-all-you-can match. As the eating competition officially began, Elphys, with a determined expression, took her first bite of the dango, while Misha also started eating alongside her. Elphys's eyes widened in intense focus and surprise as she processed the flavor, realizing the exceptional quality of the food she was consuming, thinking, "This is." She quickly became ecstatic, declaring the dango amazing, and so good. The unique flavor of the volcanic grilled dango, described as not too sweet with a simple sauce and a taste that stood out, allowed her to eat as much as she desired without tiring of it, prompting her to immediately request more. From a distance, Iori observed Elphys's voracious appetite with a puzzled expression, internally wondering where all the food she consumed could possibly go. Iori noticed someone approaching, remarking on their presence. As the old man, Zoltz, greeted him. Zoltz then inquired about Iori's well-being, to which Iori confirmed he was fine, attributing his recovery to Zoltz's help, prompting Zoltz to express profound gratitude for Iori's assistance, specifically for covering his medical treatment expenses. Zoltz looked intently at Iori, uttering a single word, "You." As Iori, seemingly disoriented, sat up and questioned what had transpired, before quickly dismissing it, claiming nothing significant had occurred. Zoltz, however, remained silent, observing Iori with a thoughtful expression.
A long-haired girl, adorned with a simple headpiece, continued to eat while a voice declared that only 2 contestants remained in the competition. Iori observed the girl, internally noting her consistent eating habits and expressing surprise that she had managed to advance so far in the contest. Before a sudden realization struck him, causing him to exclaim that the other one too was also a participant. Zoltz, the old man with goggles, smiled knowingly, remarking that Iori was indeed aware of his companion's eating habits. Iori reacted with profound shock, exclaiming his disbelief as the final contestants were revealed to be none other than Elfie, the long-haired girl, and Nyanmal, the cat-eared girl, both actively engaged in the eating competition, consuming Dango with varying degrees of enthusiasm. Zoltz observed Nyanmal's relentless eating, noting that she never seemed to get satisfied, a habit perhaps stemming from her recent past where she was only able to consume hospital food. And further emphasized the significance of the competition by adding that Dango was Nyanmal's absolute favorite food, explaining her current fervor.
Zoltz confidently declared his conviction
that Nyanmal was no longer merely a cat, but a hungry tiger, ready to devour her Dango.
Zoltz confidently asserted that Nyanmal would undoubtedly claim the winner's prize, much to Iori's bewildered surprise.
Nyanmal, with a satisfied smile, expressed her gratitude for the meal, signaling the conclusion of her intense eating. Iori and Zoltz reacted with surprise as Zoltz questioned Nyanmal about the prize, implying an unexpected turn after her victory. Elfie, holding a microphone, declared the competition decided, while Nyanmal, beaming, explained that she was already too full from eating so much to care about the prize. Her satisfied expression confirming her overwhelming satiety.
A new, regal-looking woman with a tiara watched Nyanmal with concern, attempting to caution her.
The competition's final verdict was announced, declaring Elfie the unexpected winner, much to Nyanmal's visible surprise as Elfie took her hand. Elfie, now revealed to be the regal woman previously seen, beamed with delight at her victory, while Iori also expressed his contentment with the outcome. The scene then shifted to a serene hot spring inn, where Iori was found relaxing in the warm waters, contemplating that the competition's prize was indeed a reservation at this very establishment. Iori, still in the hot spring, covered his face in apparent embarrassment or exhaustion, letting out a sigh, while Elfie remained blissfully content beside him, seemingly unfazed by the recent radical things that had transpired. Elfie then turned her attention to Iori, addressing him directly as he looked up, still flustered, wondering what she would say. She expressed her surprise at his capacity for such radical things, to which Iori quickly clarified that he had not acted out of enjoyment. However, his expression then hardened, revealing a fierce determination as he declared that those responsible for their past actions would undoubtedly pay. Elfie, now seen relaxing in a bath, observed the situation with a thoughtful expression, remarking, "I see," before gently instructing someone to soak themselves in the water and relax. Iori, blushing deeply, internally acknowledged that Elfie's actions were undoubtedly for his benefit, thinking of her name. As Elfie herself smiled contentedly, letting out a soft, surprised sound. As Iori remained in the bath, his expression caused Elfie to react with shock, demanding to know why he looked as if he had seen a ghost, to which Iori could only offer a vague affirmation. Elfie, now out of the bath and visibly distressed, tearfully accused him of being mean and warned him not to approach her. She continued her lament, reminding Iori that he had instructed her to hide her body projection, which she had done, before criticizing his recent horrible face. Iori, still in the bath, appeared downcast by her words. Despite her earlier distress, Elfie then smiled brightly, expressing her genuine happiness that Iori was feeling a little better. Elfie, visibly distressed by the intense heat, expressed concern that her fake body was on the verge of dissolving. The group, consisting of Iori, Elfie, and 2 other companions, traversed a desolate, volcanic landscape, with Iori remarking on Elfie's precarious state as Misha was credited with convincing the guild to allow their party to be the first to investigate the dungeon. As an internal thought noted the convenience of their small party size for their mission, which now included a 5th, cloaked companion. And Iori secretly intended to use as an opportunity to pretend being lost within the newly entered labyrinth, searching for its core and a missing part of Elfie's true body. As Iori addressed his party, he internally affirmed his belief that he and Elfie possessed sufficient power to defeat the Demon Lord of Flame. Meanwhile, a male party member with a red bandana observed Iori, questioning if his feet had frozen, and commented on the previous group, the Wold Men, having fled. Prompting Misha to interject, asserting that she had recommended those individuals and would not tolerate them being mocked. The bandana-wearing man then teasingly speculated about Misha's relationship with that kid, causing Misha to react with visible embarrassment and frustration, demanding he stop making fun of them. As Elfie and Iori stood by, the unnamed male character with the red bandana expressed his low expectations for the party's capabilities, then turned to a large armored figure, asking for Zulkan's opinion on the matter. Before Zulkan could respond, a monstrous, cycloptic creature lunged forward with a shriek, only to be swiftly intercepted and struck down by Zulkan's powerful counterattack. The armored knight stood over the defeated foe, while the unnamed male character casually remarked that the creature posed no real threat. Zulkan, however, internally noted Iori's presence, observing that his armor possessed magical capabilities, a fact Elfie seemed to contemplate with a quiet hum. Zulkan then articulated his reasoning, stating that there was nothing wrong with being extra careful, especially given Iori's magically enhanced armor. Misha, noticing Iori's quiet demeanor, inquired if something was amiss. A character, likely Elfie, reacted with a look of surprise and disbelief, seemingly at Misha's attempt to dismiss her earlier concern for Iori. As Misha, flustered and blushing, tried to reassure Iori not to worry about her inquiry. Simultaneously, Elfie struck the unnamed male character with the red bandana on the head, causing him to cry out in pain, while Iori looked on in confusion. Iori questioned Elfie's sudden action, but Elfie's attention was already drawn to the ground, which began to crack and rumble, signaling that something massive was approaching. Culminating in the dramatic emergence of a colossal serpentine fire demon from beneath the earth, towering over the party. As the ground beneath them erupted, two colossal dragon-like creatures emerged, their massive forms dwarfing the entire party and presenting an immediate, overwhelming threat. Misha, flustered, exclaimed that the danger was not over, while the unnamed male character frantically urged her to use her eye ability, only for Misha to reveal she could not use it yet. Simultaneously, a haste spell was cast, but the unnamed male character, overwhelmed by the sheer power of the monsters, cried out for the party to retreat and run. As one of the dragon-like creatures unleashed a devastating evil eye ash explosion attack. Despite the overwhelming power, Iori stepped forward, gripping his sword with a determined expression, ready to face the incoming blast, much to the surprise of Zulkan and the unnamed male character. The twin dragon-like creatures continued their assault, their immense power engulfing the area as the party braced for the impact of the ash explosion. The unnamed male character, alongside Zulkan, reacted with utter disbelief and shock, questioning the nature of the skill Iori had just unleashed. As Misha, with wide eyes, voiced her own astonishment, wondering if what they had just witnessed was an evil eye ability. Indeed, Iori had, in a mere blink of an eye, defeated two massive flame dragons, leaving the creatures lifeless on the ground, a testament to the overwhelming power of his newly revealed skill. Elfie, observing Iori, who appeared strained yet resolute, let out a sharp expletive, acknowledging the gravity of the situation or the sheer force Iori had just exerted. Following Iori's display of power, the unnamed male character enthusiastically declared that they could clear the dungeon at this rate, questioning Zulkan for confirmation, while Misha praised Iori's amazing abilities, leaving Iori slightly flustered. Zulkan, however, responded with a sigh, cautioning the unnamed male character against getting carried away too much. The group stood together, with Zulkan partially obscuring Elfie, Iori, and the unnamed male character, as the initial excitement began to settle. The unnamed male character offered an awkward laugh, while Iori and Elfie maintained more serious expressions, reflecting the mixed reactions to the situation. Zulkan remained silent, seemingly lost in thought, as Elfie observed him. While the rest of the investigative party stood on the newly reached Purgatory dungeon lower floors. The unnamed male character with the red bandana expressed his astonishment, noting that the guild would be surprised by their success in reaching such depths. He then turned to Iori, enthusiastically declaring that they were truly amazing. Elfie, with a confident smile, readily accepted the praise, asserting, "Of course. A powerful, unseen force struck down upon Zulkan, who cried out in pain as Misha, witnessing the overwhelming power, desperately urged her companions to retreat, declaring they were no match for their foe. The armored knight was sent flying backward from the impact, his body skidding across the ground as Misha cried out his name in alarm. A chilling laugh echoed through the space. The source of the attack was revealed to be a formidable woman, who confidently challenged her opponents, asking how they liked her greeting. The group, including Elfie, Iori, and Misha, found themselves confronted by a towering, horned demon-like figure who menacingly declared that they will burn to death here. The monstrous entity, previously a more ambiguous figure, was now fully revealed as it continued its threat, with Misha reacting with visible concern. The demon-like figure, now clearly identified as a formidable antagonist, stood poised, its menacing smile directed at Iori and Misha, while Elfie remained resolute beside them. As the confrontation escalated, Iori stepped forward, gripping his weapon with a determined expression, and surprisingly quipped, "Please be gentle." The horned demon, with a wide, menacing grin, mockingly addressed the group as heroes, before letting out a chilling laugh, signaling his readiness for the impending battle.